All right, Dave, you're good to go.
All right, meeting called to order. Today is Tuesday, July 21st. It's now 7:07 p.m. Town Council meeting via Zoom.
Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilman Licciardi. Do we have a flag? Councilman Licciardi, unmute. Want to lead the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
To the
to the republic for which it stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Prayer led by Council Vice President D'Amico.
Let's bow our heads, please. Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening as your humble servants. We pray for your divine presence at this meeting. Please bless us with your Holy Spirit. Remind us all to be patient with one another, thoughtful and caring, when making decisions and mindful of those we have been chosen to serve. And last, Father, we ask that you watch over this great town and all of her wonderful citizens. We pray this in your name. Amen.
Mary Ann, you're on mute.
Unmute.
Councilman Licciardi,
Here.
Councilman Messier,
Here.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Here.
Council Vice President D'Amico,
Here.
Council President Goslin.
Here.
There's a quorum. Discussion, action, vote of the town council. Any matter on this portion of the agenda may be acted upon by way of topic discussion and action by the town council with a vote on the record to approve, amend, deny, or table the agenda item. Discussion regarding and planning pertaining to addressing COVID-19 virus and the impacts on town operations.
Good evening. At our last council meeting, there was a question about playgrounds. Reopening RI does have a small section on playgrounds, which refers us to CDC guidelines for distance for playgrounds, recreation areas, and the guidelines are a bit generic, lumping many things together. Some of the common themes are social distancing, masks, disinfecting, equipment, and so on. So looking at the guidelines, there are some things that we certainly can do. We can have signage in our playground areas reminding the parents who are there with children about social distancing, masks, which we know children probably will not be wearing masks in a playground setting. We can have the social distancing, 6 feet apart if you can, wearing masks and hands and washing your hands and hands sanitation or sanitizing. And we're going to be looking at putting some type of hand sanitation equipment in our playgrounds. There's two kinds. One that if you have a fence, it can attach to a fence. Another can be like a freestanding sanitation. So we're going to be looking into that. There's also a suggestion that the equipment be sanitized as frequently as possible. Again, that's comes to the difficult nature of playgrounds. I mean, you can sanitize it one way. There are some equipment that we could look to purchase, but basically any type of meaningful equipment is way on back order. But there are pieces of equipment that you will see on TV that subways, cars can be sanitized with a spray that hardens and then it can be used. But the reality is that's going to be very difficult, if not impossible to get in the near future. And the reality is if you sanitize a playground, that's only as good as after you're done and then someone uses it. It's a very difficult thing to do to keep it sanitized the way everyone would want to. So going back to the director's comments, it's very difficult, but there are some things we can do. Put signage up in the playgrounds and maybe some park areas, reminding patrons that of the basic fundamentals that are still out there. Wear a mask if you're in an open area. Certainly, you don't need to. If you come in close contact with others, other than your family or close party, then you put them on. Hand washing or sanitizing, and we hope to look to purchase some of those items for our playgrounds. And again, to the best of our knowledge, any item that is purchased as a result of COVID-19 would be reimbursable from the federal government at a percentage, hopefully 75%. So at this point, that's I think what our plan would be. When the director's been out of the office, when he returns next week, we can have a meeting and discuss this and more fully. But we'll be taking measures to do what we can, as far as signage and sanitation, disinfecting measures. And with that, I can answer any questions about playgrounds that I can, and this would be the end of my update on our coronavirus impacts on town government.
Any questions for Ernie?
I do. It's revolving around COVID, but not directly about the playgrounds. I've got some calls about the bike path area behind West Manor. And I know that, due to COVID, a lot more people are using the bike path, and they've been filling up cans over there. I've heard they're overflowing and
Yeah, you're lagging.
kind of,
Yeah, there are a
kind of health health issue over there.
I think overall the bike path is in okay shape. There are some sections where it's overgrown, and depending upon the availability of staff, maybe we can look to address a few areas with the overgrown areas that you mentioned. A full.
But especially specifically the trash. I mean, it's the big issue.
Oh, okay.
I said it's overflowing over there, and right behind the West Warwick Manor. I might have cut in and out then. And I know that there's some other issues in that area that I'll address, but it's not on the agenda, so I'll bring it up. But specifically the trash over there, right behind the West Warwick Manor. And I think there's 2 trash cans, maybe 3 in that area. So we could just keep an eye on that, especially like I said, with so many more people out now with COVID. There's not, just because there's not as many things for them to do, Thank you.
Any other questions for Ernie?
Minutes of the previous meeting. Resolved that the town council hereby approves the amended minutes of the July 7, 2020 meeting minutes.
Move the minutes.
Do I have a second?
I'm not sure what we just, what did you say, Mary Ann? You're moving for the July 7th minutes?
Yes.
Yeah, so item number 2, I would just ask the question on the consent agendas, the license applications 2A. I know they were tabled. I can't honestly remember why they were tabled, but I know they were tabled and they're back on today's agenda. But I would just ask, I guess I'd ask Councilman Licciardi. My notes don't say that anybody disapproved of that. You have Councilman Licciardi saying no to tabling it, so I don't know if that's the case or not.
He did say no.
Jason?
I don't know. I don't recall. I don't know why. If I said no, it would have been I would have went with a reason with it.
I'll re-listen. Why don't we table it until the next meeting?
Table the minutes?
Sure. Yeah, until the next meeting, I'll have the 14th ones ready too.
Yeah, because if somebody usually says no, I'll say 4-1 or If I
Yeah,
don't-
I don't have those in my notes at all that anybody dissented there.
The
I
only
think I
reason-
went
Yeah,
back
I
and
don't
listened to
recall.
it.
One of the
All right,
times,
I may have. I don't, but normally I wouldn't just say no. I'd give a reason why.
the
It
reason
can be
why,
a pain, so.
the reason why they were tabled was because they weren't advertised properly.
There was no resolution.
Correct.
Right, exactly.
Was
Nothing was
advertised prior.
attached.
There was no
Yes,
resolution. Yeah,
yes. So then,
okay.
I would amend,
So I'll make a motion to table the July 7th meeting minutes.
I'll
second,
second.
all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 5-0.
Consent agendas, I'll just quickly say I broke this down to 7-7 because we tabled it. We have to put this back on the table today, and then we're going to take the ones for today, and you're going to be approving 25. Once
I'll
we
move
put that,
that we take the July 7th license applications off the table.
Second,
wait, let me say the item.
Sure.
Sorry, resolved that the consent having been posted, all matters being referred to proper departments and being disposed of or awaiting recommendation, the same is hereby approved.
I will move that we take the July 7th license applications off the table.
second,
Moving second. Any discussion?
I'm gonna recuse myself from this vote.
Any public discussion? I don't see anybody in the attendees tonight. So hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
yes.
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Now you want to move all 25 of them?
Sure. I'll move well, am I moving all 25 at this point?
Yes.
Okay, I'll move all 25 of the license applications.
Second,
Moving second, any discussion?
Will recuse myself.
Well, we should discuss item 25, which is the amplify loudspeaker theatrical performance and shows for the family reunion.
Yep.
It should be noted that, all the normal guidelines and regulations that the state has set forth for this type of meeting, be it face coverings, social distancing, limiting of the number of people there, and also the domestic travel restrictions should be noted.
So Councilman, I did speak to the resident. Chris Marandola is going to try to get to the meeting tonight. And I know Alicia is working, so I had a conversation with him briefly this afternoon after Ernie's email. I asked how many people would be in attendance. It is a catered event. It's on 3 acres of land over there. It's going to be less than 50, but they are catering, which allows up to 100. The only reason they pulled a permit for this event, which normally they would not have, although they do it every year, they pull a permit for this event. They could have had this birthday party, graduation, whatever, without town's approval. They just got a DJ who plays every year for them, and which is on a speaker, so they pull that proper permit so the neighbors don't have any issues or concerns, and they're well aware on which day it's going to happen. They've had this party now almost 10 to 15 years in a row, except for one year missing due to personal reasons, and they've never had any issues or town issues or complaints or with the proper permits. That's why they pulled the permit, is only because of the DJ. And they're gonna be well within the guidelines. If you wanna take a tour of the property where they park, there's a whole field to the left of their house, and they got plenty of land to handle 50 people.
so it sounds like they're very familiar with what the guidelines are, and they will adhere to them.
They will be supplying hand sanitizer. They've asked all their friends and family to make sure they come with masks. Obviously, if there's eating and drinking, it's going to be hard to have a mask on during those times. They also have a swimming pool It would be kind of hard. I'd recommend not to go in there with a mask. And again, I think it's, you know, the only reason they come before the council ever is because they ask for the amplifier loudspeaker because they don't want problems with the neighbors if the DJ plays a little loud.
They did inform the abutters as well.
Yes, they have formed all the abutters, no attendees tonight.
We got no negative reaction at all to our office, at least.
No, we never do. They run a decent party. I know it's, I've been in attendance before. It's very mellow party. It's just more of a cookout.
I don't even think it's an issue, to be honest with you. I mean, as you drive, I give them credit for doing it because a lot of people are having these now all over town. And again, I mean, it's in his property. I don't see the big deal.
It's really not a big deal. I think it's just a matter of
It's not.
also mentioning these things publicly.
It's doing the right thing. I give him
Yep.
credit. He's doing the right thing.
Any other comment?
So are we all set to pass these?
I'm gonna ask if there's any other comment. Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Is this just on that one item or all the
sorry.
licenses?
I forgot you recused yourself.
Yeah, I'm just making sure. All right, yeah, all right.
Unmute. Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Okay, ordinance number 2029, an ordinance amending Appendix C, traffic ordinances of the town, traffic ordinances of the Code of Ordinance of the Town of West Warwick.
Move the ordinance.
I'll second.
Moving
Okay,
second.
the Pulaski Street, no parking was requested by Councilman Licciardi. The Woodside Avenue, someone went to the Major Archambault questioning about a sign on 3 Woodside Avenue, no parking to the corner. The major referred it to me. Apparently there had been a sign there, but there never was an ordinance approving that sign. So this is approving something that apparently just never made it into the ordinance file.
Any questions for Al? Again, no public attendees, so as I'm clicking on it. So I'll take a,
Actually, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I guess maybe the solicitor, the fact that it doesn't talk about Pulaski or Woodside on the agenda itself, is that an issue?
No, because it clearly indicates that it's going to be traffic ordinances. And I think that normally it should have it. So I to err on the side of caution, you're probably going to have to table this item only because it doesn't indicate the street names. Anybody that lives in those streets would have been notified. They could have attended this meeting and addressed any concerns they had. So I would suggest tabling this.
Make a motion to table the above items.
Second.
moved and seconded. Take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Wait a second. I was muted for a little bit. Can you hear me?
yep,
Yes.
All right. Al, when you were talking about Pulaski Street and Woodside Avenue
Yes,
under item J, correct?
yes,
All right. Woodside Avenue, I don't know if we're talking about 2 different issues.
yes,
The one in my ward is Pulaski Street.
yes. I said the one, Pulaski Street was requested by you. Woodside
Yeah.
Avenue was a call to Major Archambault from someone who said that the sign had been removed. When Major Archambault referred it to me, the sign apparently that had been there, we assume never had any authorization that we could find. So this is an ordinance approving the sign that supposedly had been there.
All right, okay. All right, so on the agenda, like Councilwoman Williamson just said, there's no street names. So we're actually talking about two different items on item J.
Yes, the resolution the ordinance that I submitted clearly is written in the form of our appendix C. It says location, Pulaski Street, sign, no parking, description, no parking signs on south side of Pulaski Street from intersection with Remington Street to intersection with Main Street. Then the next item says location, Woodside Avenue, no parking to corner, and then description is no parking to corner sign from on the north side of Woodside Avenue from 3 Woodside Avenue to Main Street.
Okay.
The ordinance itself is fine. The ordinance itself is fine, but the agenda does not talk
Right.
about Pulaski or Woodside, and we've gotten ourselves in trouble before not allowing the public to see what we're going to talk about on the agenda itself. The attachment, we've been told, does not suffice. So
Al,
Gotcha.
Al, would you want me to put Appendix C traffic ordinances and all the information on the next agenda?
That's not my call, that's Tim's.
Mary Ann, all you have to do is put the applicable streets.
Okay, I'll do it and send it to you.
So Woodside would be Woodside to Main Street.
Right.
And,
Again,
Pulaski.
it's a notice requirement, so people review the agenda. If they live within that area of
correct.
a particular street, they would know that they could attend and address the issues accordingly.
I'm gonna guess
Okay.
Al will want to approve that, right, Al? Since you write them.
Well,
The agenda item should be yours, Mary Ann. So you just need to actually,
Yeah, I know, I
agenda
get
item-
that from Al. I get that from Al though. But I will put whatever he wants me
you
to
you
put.
don't get the agenda from me, Mary Ann.
No, I get the item from you, but okay, all right. Well, let's table it and we'll figure it out. That's good.
I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
yes.
Councilman D'Amico.
Yes.
Can I ask one question on topic of the traffic committee? Are they meeting regularly again?
They met this morning.
Yes.
Okay, so, all right, thank you. Yeah, I'm sending something over later tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, they met. I got the report. I haven't read it yet.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
Ordinance 2020-10, first reading sponsored by Council President Goslin, an ordinance amending Chapter 18 Taxation, Article I in general of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of West Warwick by adding thereto Section 1816 adjustment of exemptions upon revaluation.
I'll move the ordinance.
Second.
Moving seconded, Sal and Al.
Yeah, well, this basically, we have a number of ordinances granting exemptions, and there's a statute that allows for adjustment of those when there's a tax evaluation. I'll now turn it over to Sal because that's his expertise.
Right. Thank you, Al. That what happens during revaluations and after revaluations is that the tax rate is subject to change every year. So if you have an ordinance that says the exemption is worth 10,000, and then this year it'd be worth, say, $230, and then next year you have a revaluation and the tax rate goes up or down, you can't change the value of the ordinance, so it may not be worth as much from year to year based on the tax rate and revaluation. So this gives us the opportunity to keep it worth the same amount of money rather than have to go before the state legislator every 3 years to have the amount of the exemption value changed.
Any questions for Sal? No public attendees yet, so I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Ordinance 2020, I think we're amending that to 11. First reading sponsored by Council President Goslin. An ordinance authorizing a budget amendment which will move funds to salary lines for raises that occurred as a result of collective bargaining that occurred after the budget was adopted.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Moving seconded, discussion.
Mr. David, when I reviewed the agenda, I know to let you know that my initial reaction to it was that it referred to ordinance 2020. Our ordinances are recorded by a number, as you noticed, one was 2029, next one was 2020-10. This one should have been 2020-11. So I discussed it and suggested to you that tonight I move an amendment just adding the number 11. However, when I received the actual copy of the ordinance that was presented to you, it fell short of the format necessary for an ordinance. At that point in time, I contacted Tim, and he and I discussed this morning that not only was the format not correct, because for an ordinance, you need 2 readings, and the format you're looking at says it was adopted and passed today. So that format was incorrect. Secondly, the authorization for what you're doing tonight is a special provision within section 505 of the charter, allowing the town council during the last 3 months of the fiscal year to make this adjustment. In my discussion with Tim this morning, both he and I agreed that another whereas provision should be added to it. So the ordinance that I sent to each of this afternoon adds that provision and corrects the reading and second reading format of the ordinance. In my discussion with Tim, because the ordinance itself is not being changed, other than basically the signature lines and a whereas clause being added, Tim and I both were of the opinion that the council can amend what you have and substitute ordinance 2020-11 as amended in its place.
So actually, the ordinance is fine, it's just a 2020-11.
It should be 2020-11 as amended. There should be a paragraph added that states, whereas, open quote, section 505, transfer of appropriations, close quote, provides for the authority of the town council within the last 3 months of the fiscal year by ordinance to make such transfer. Now, therefore, it is hereby ordained that the town council of the town of West Warwick hereby authorizes the budget reallocation to reallocate funds budgeted in the general government department of the fiscal year 20 budget to the appropriate department salary line. So we did not change the ordinance. We just added a whereas and then changed the signature lines.
So personally, this seems like a big adjustment to this ordinance. And I know it's only first reading, but I would like to see it right. And
David, if I may, the law is already there in the charter regarding the transfer of the appropriations. So since it says it's done by ordinance, really the only thing you'd have to do would be add 11 to the top by way of an amendment, and then omit the last sentence where it says passed and adopted this 21st day of July, 2020. I said to Al that I thought that if we added the 505, it just gives you reference to the existing law. So if your feeling is that you want to take care of this and make it cleaner, my suggestion would be to table it. If you don't want to table it, you can just amend it by adding the number 11 after ordinance number 2020, or omitting, the sentence that says passed and adopted this 21st day of July 2020, because it does have to have 2 readings.
Kristen, what effect does this have on you?
I just have to get it done before I give the trial balances to the auditors. So
There would be time.
there's some time.
So unusual year. The fact that it says within the last 3 months of the fiscal year, we are outside of that. Is that an issue?
No, I think the governor's executive order and then the manager's executive order is going to cover that because, as you said, this is an odd year. And everything regarding the finances for the town, both of 2020 and 2021, needed to be extended because of COVID-19. So I don't think there's going to be a problem there.
So if we're going to table this, which I agree, it seems to be messy, it seems to be a lot going on, and if it doesn't impact what Kristen has to do, I guess I would recommend that we note that in the ordinance too, that we are outside of the 3 months and we recognize that. But it is allowed
Sure.
because of the executive order. That would make it more clear.
An additional whereas paragraph could be added addressing the COVID-19 situation, the
I'll add that.
governor's executive order and the manager's executive order. So that would be fine.
Yeah, I think
I'll
that-
add I'll add
yeah.
that. I'll add that, and I'll get a new version of what I sent to you today out to you.
Yeah, that way somebody picking it up 5 years from now understands why it was okay we did it outside of the fiscal year.
Tim, a
Yes.
question, would it not, in view of this, would it not be better just to take no action on this one and put the 2020-11 as a new matter for a first reading at the next meeting?
To tell you the truth, it doesn't make a difference because it's on the agenda tonight where council has the option of taking no action or just tabling it because it's going to come back again. So it's the council's option.
We take no action, it'll be one less
Right.
vote we'll do next meeting.
Correct.
Just take no action.
Okay. Resolution requesting the, am I mute? No. Resolution requesting that the town council impose a tax or for the expenditure of money hereby order the apportionment and collection of a tax on abradable real estate and tangible personal property in the sum of not less than $67 million and not more than $69,900,000.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion?
Sal speak?
Sal?
Yes. No, normally this gets passed before the financial town meeting and the referendum. But we had a couple of illnesses in the town where I think it was forgotten. I can't give Rose the information for her to collect the taxes until we pass this. I can't certify, I can't do a lot of things until this is passed by the council.
Any questions for Sal?
Does this impact the timeline that we've talked about?
No, it does not. We're already doing everything computer-wise, getting everything ready. I did everything. Rose is getting ready. I just need this so it makes my certification legal in case there's any questions brought up by the public. Even if we go into things like appeals and things like that, it
Okay, thank
would
you.
affect.
Mr. President, just
Yes.
like to point out on line 11, as you go down, it says about the 31st day of December, it needs to be revised for the 31st day of December. Looks like a keyboard was on a different level, so that just needs to be revised or corrected.
Ernie, are you talking about the number 81?
Yes, and an exclamation point. Should be the 31st.
Right.
Day
So
of December.
That's a Scrivener's error, so I would suggest that the council can make an oral amendment that the 3 exclamation point with the 8-1, which is, I believe, on the 36-9, on the 12th line, that should actually be the 31st.
We need that amended.
Need a motion.
Motion to amend?
Second.
Second.
Motion to amend, seconded. I'll take a. Do we need to take a vote just on the amendment, or can we vote on the whole?
You vote on the whole thing.
Yeah.
You're going to vote on it as amended.
Any other questions for Sal? This is the vote as amended. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilman Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote.
Appointment to the Sewer Use Tax Board of Review. Resolved that the Town Council of the Town of West Warwick hereby appoints the following individual to serve as a member of the Sewer Use Tax Board of Review for a 3-year term. David Gaipo, 580 Wakefield Street.
I'll move the resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded. I need somebody to move the name of David Gaipo.
Gaipo.
I move the name of David Gapo.
Second.
Moved and seconded. David's been on a few boards in the town. He works for a sewer department. He works in that field, so he'd definitely be a great asset. The Sewer Use Appeals Board can start meeting once again. I know they're waiting on a few appeals, but they don't have enough people on the board. So with David on there, we'll fulfill that, and they'll be able to perform their duties. Any other comment? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Reappointments to the Planning Board. Resolved that the Town Council of the Town of West Warwick hereby reappoints the following individuals to serve as members of the Planning Board for 5-year terms. Felix Apollonia, member, 10 Fernwood Drive. Joseph Garcia, alternate member, 100 East Greenwich Avenue. Jessica Rubery, alternate member, 951B Main Street.
Mary Ann, the only thing is, we've gone through this numerous times. We'll draw the names. All we need is reappointment on the agenda, and the council will move the names of the individuals, because what it looks like is when we're voting on this, or when you're reading it, that you're already appointing those 3 individuals, and we don't. And if somebody else wanted to put their name in, then what?
I must have misunderstood you because I asked you that question and I thought you said yes, put them on. So I'm sorry, I must have misunderstood you. Okay,
You attach their attachments on the agenda, but when you're reading the resolution, all you say is renewal of
that's
appointment
what I thought.
to the sewer board, or whatever board they're going on,
Right.
planning board, and then we'll move the names.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Okay, all right.
So I guess I was going to ask that question. Did anyone else apply for these positions?
No. But if
And
you
they-
want to, the upcoming appointments, these have asked me to put them on because they're in need of people on them. So if you want to leave the planning board on till the next town council meeting, then it will have been
No,
advertised.
if it advertised and you did it the way it should, I don't think that's necessary. I just wondered if other people had applied.
No, and we haven't done anything with boards and commissions since the pandemic began. We haven't even put them on the agendas.
I'm going to move the name of Felix Apollonia as a member.
Second.
Board.
I would actually move all 3 names.
Yeah, I agree.
Want to move
Yeah.
them all? even though some are alternates?
Yep, I mean, keep them on there as same exact roles.
Okay, so I'm going to move the name Felix Apollonia, member, Jose Garcia, alternate member, and Jessica Rubery, alternate member.
Second.
All right, so-
Moved in second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi?
I'm actually going to recuse myself, and this is the reason why. I have a proposed development going in across the street from my house. And I've been before the planning board as an abutter and as a homeowner, not as a councilman, and I made that clear. This, I'm assuming, will go back before the planning board in the near future. So I am not going to vote on any appointment to this board at all until I have my answers to the written questions I had from the ethics board.
Okay, thank you. For the record, Councilman Licciardi recused himself. Councilman Messier?
yes,
Councilwoman Williamson?
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico?
Yes, they've all served well.
And I agree, and I vote yes.
And Dave, before we go on, Mary Ann, can you, when you write the minutes up, I'd like you to write exactly what I said on those minutes, please.
Okay. I will.
Thank you.
Upcoming appointments, 1, Sewer Use Tax Board of Review, 2 vacancies with terms to expire 2023 and 2024. Pension Committee, 3 vacancies with terms to expire 2022, 2023, and 2024. Zoning Board of Review, 2 vacancies with terms to expire 2025. Planning Board, 3 with terms to expire 2025. And that will come off the next time.
Mary Ann, I have a question on this one.
Okay.
Do you know if, for the number 2, the pension committee, do we have,
Yes.
with three vacancies,
Yes.
do we have enough members on that board to meet?
If they all come, is what I'm led to believe.
You need 4.
Okay.
Nobody can call in.
Mary
Gotcha.
Ann,
All right.
to your knowledge, do we have any applicants for pension?
Not at this point.
No, okay.
We only
So,
have reappointment applications.
So actually, I apologize, but I think I need to go back to the David Gapo appointment. I agree
right.
with it 100%, but the resolution said reappoints the following individual. He's not, he's brand new.
Again,
Can we amend it?
that's a Scrivener's error that can be amended to omit the word reappoint and add the word appoint. So I would bring that back up so the council can move on the appointment with the amended language.
Sorry, I did that midstream, so I apologize here.
Good, that was good you caught that. Somebody gonna move it?
But I'm not sure where we are on the other one, David. So I apologize. I sort of jumped in midstream. I knew something wasn't, I had something else in my notes, but I didn't
No, we're
speak up quick enough.
just discussing the open boards, and then we go into discussion action.
So do we
So-
need to return to
Just
item N?
return to agenda item N to
Okay,
address.
so I will move
Right.
that we return to item number N to address the language.
Second, and amend the language to say the town council hereby,
Do this first. Do the
Okay,
procedural
all right.
part first.
So I have a motion and seconded.
second, yes.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
yes,
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes,
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Now move the appointment by amending the resolution to omit the word reappoint and put in the word appoint.
I'll move the resolution where we amend the word reappoint and put in the word appoint.
Do I have a
I'll
second?
second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi?
Yes.
Councilman Messier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson?
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Can I ask a quick question of Tim?
Sure.
So I totally understand what Councilman Licciardi is doing, but I do have a question based on his essentially recusing himself. If they are already sitting members, would he be creating a conflict of interest if he reappoints them?
This one,
Not
this
not
is,
that we need to vote again, I'm just curious.
no, but this matter's not on the agenda, Councilman, so you really can't discuss it. If you're wondering about why he's doing something, why he's recusing, the information that he wants on the minutes about the fact that he is a participant in a development right now, that would have to be a separate agenda item that you'd have to put
Okay.
on the agenda.
Okay, just curious.
Or you could just call the ethics board. They've been very helpful in the past with me if you have questions about that as well.
Thank you. Discussion action?
West Warwick Fire Department seeks to use the Rhode Island Association of Fire Chiefs, RIAFC, written examination scores to validate candidates for the position of probationary firefighter. Sponsored by Council President Goslin.
Yes, Chief Barone and I had a discussion in passing the other day about this item, and Chief, it's all you.
Okay, did everyone get the letter that I sent? So,
Yes.
yes, okay. So that pretty much explains it. It's like a win-win for the town of West Warwick in that we'll save the expense of running an entrance exam. And, you know, the last time we gave a test, we only had 21 people apply. I think 18 people showed up to take the test, and we created a list of 16. That list has run its course, and we have someone who retired this past week, and we're going to be having another retirement toward the end of August. And so, you know, this will make sure that we don't ever run out of having a list of qualified candidates to fill vacancies.
Any questions for the chief?
I guess, is there a downside? Why wouldn't everybody, am I missing something?
Well, I think, you know, control over it might be one thing. You know, so the control over the testing parameters will be done by the executive board by the Rhode Island Fire Academy, the Rhode Island Fire Chiefs Association, excuse me. So that, I don't know why. I think it's a win-win. So.
And I actually, I spoke to Chief Barone. I also, the night of the referendum, I know I spoke to the union president, Mr. Rita, and see if he had any concerns. And he said, no, that's a management right. And, you know, he told the chief, I think they had a conversation about it also, and he knew it was a management right. And, you know, knowing that you can go to that list and people who may not have applied for actual West Warwick, but you might be able to, and if they participate in that list, we can try to recruit from there also.
And I just read off like Bristol, East Greenwich, Lincoln, Little Compton, North Smithfield, North Providence, Coventry, Woonsocket, are all taking part in that as of now. And other communities are also going back to their town councils to seek approval.
So with that being said, any other comment? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote just for peace of mind. Councilman Licciardi?
Yes.
Councilman Messier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson?
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
Public comment, designated portion of town council's open meeting for citizens to address comments to the town council relating to matters affecting the public interest. Comments will only be addressed to the town council, who will take them under advisement. When addressing the town council, please state your name and address. Please conduct yourself in an orderly and respectful fashion. The comments of citizens accessing this portion of our meeting are neither adopted nor endorsed by this body, but heard as requested. Members of the town council, being the duly elected public body, as identified in RIGL 424623, have no obligation to respond to the public's comments.
I do not see any attendees. So does anybody on the panel have anything? The only thing I do have, and I sent a text and an email to the town council today, as we all know, Ernie's 3 years in September is coming up. Would like to schedule a meeting to discuss which direction the council wants to go, and we can have a meeting with the council themselves and then Ernie also. So I just would like somebody over the next 1 or 2 days, get back to me and I'll get with Mary Ann and we can schedule that meeting. We do need 48 hours notice. And I also shared the letter that Ernie sent to John and I. So you should have read it hopefully read it today. If not, please read it and then we can go from there. But if you can get back to me within the next couple of days, that'd be great.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for sending that letter along. Is that protocol that it would be sent to just the two of you?
Well, I know Ernie met with Councilman D'Amico and myself last week to talk about West Warwick. It was actually the day of the all-day referendum. We were talking about the budget. We talked about West Warwick moving forward. And, I know Councilman D'Amico and I both said, share with us what your thoughts are. And that's probably why he sent it to just the two of us.
And you said in your text, September, it's actually October 9th, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
President Goslin, are you going to have both meetings in August? My staff needs to know.
Oh, that's the other thing also. Do we need to meet August 4th? Is that the first one? Normally summertime, we try to take it a little lighter. I know it was a busy budget season. Does anybody have a problem not meeting on August 4th?
No, that works. What's the second meeting date, so I can mark it down then?
August 18th.
Okay.
And I will say, Chief Barone, you're probably going to be busy for the next week of people calling you from the local club, PIC, the PC, the Citizens Club, and the Holy Ghost. They are trying to put some sort of stuff together. I know Citizens Club are going to be reaching out to you. They want to have a concert with Dirty Deeds and sell 100 tickets to limit the crowd, I guess. So per se, I know I gave you the Holy Ghost, and the PASC will be contacting you also, or I'll be giving you their contact information. Again, we're getting into Labor Day. It's a very hectic time of the year here, and these 4 or 5 local clubs will probably be reaching out to you for their guidance, for your guidance.
Okay, yes, and I do have an event template that we can give them. Kind of went along with the same thing that Ernie had sent out to the council earlier today. So.
And Mary Ann, if you can also let your office know that if anybody calls in for those licenses or whatever, or guidance, that Chief Barone is the person to speak to.
Okay.
Which keep it all to one person. That way there he can decide what's a go and what's a no.
So start with Chief Barone.
Yes.
Yes, okay, very good.
Mr.
So
President,
am I correct that the August 4th meeting is canceled? Is that correct?
I'm going to cancel that tonight.
Okay, just checking. Sorry.
Mr. President, one item that I'm thinking about on the first meeting of August would be the emergency declaration. I believe that will be expiring
August 3rd.
somewhere possibly the second week in August. So if there is a little lapse between the next regular council meeting and there's a period where it's not in effect, there could be a situation arise where we'd have to have a special meeting to renew that if there was a pressing issue.
I think
Didn't we say you could do that on your own at one point?
Well, the authorizations get to a certain point, and it's been reviewed every month. And the question came up in one of our meetings, conference call, with the governor's staff. You know, why are these executive orders every month or so on? And the response was, that's the way it's in the statutory enabling act or regulations for executive orders. They have to be renewed on a 30-day period. So that's why it comes before you, basically in a 30-day period for a renewal. That corresponds closely or as close as possible with the governor's.
Gotcha. I just thought I thought once we had spoken, and I could be wrong, I thought you said you had the ability to issue that without an executive order without the council's approval.
I think the discussion might have been if for some reason during the time it's in effect that the governor cancels hers, that could be canceled earlier.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
Again, the
Yeah.
reality is if there's no emergency, then a few-day period probably wouldn't matter. If there was something that was of an emergency, you'd have to have an emergency meeting to pass that. Correspond with something at the state level.
Gotcha.
Currently, the executive order goes through August 6th.
The state executive order should cover the town of West Warwick unless there's something really different in our executive order between the period of time of August 6th through, David, you said the second meeting was when, August 18th?
18.
So that 12-day period of time, unless something really, jumps off the page, that the town would have to have an emergency meeting to issue its executive order. The state's executive order should cover.
Again, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, but in that situation, we would be able to do an emergency meeting if we needed to do that anyway, correct?
Exactly, sure. Yeah, you can have a meeting at any time. So if something happens to come up that's not addressed by the state executive order, the town of West Warwick certainly can meet and the council can address the issues and then recommend to the manager to issue a new executive order to address those different items that have, occurred or will occur.
So my recommendation on what Tim said is that, maybe we just wait till the 18th, and if something does come up, then we, if hopefully nothing does come up in an emergency situation, we could do an emergency meeting. If not, we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
All right, any other comment? I do not see any attending again tonight, so that's it for public comment. Ernie, is that truly your background or is that a fake background?
Well, I would like to say it's my home office I've been working on for 3 years, but no, sadly, it is a very good background.
All right, thank you.
I'm going to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you,
Aye.
Mr. Hool. Thank you, Chief, and everybody for sponsoring.
Thank you.
You're very
Good
welcome.
night.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Tell my patio goes in first.
Yeah, thanks, Goslin.